Are you making the pricing mistake that 93% of plumbing, electrical, or similar business owners are making? Now, if you find that when you price your jobs and you think there's a lot of profit in them, but when you actually do the job and there's not as much money in your bank account as you think there should be, then this video is going to be very, very important. Now, when you price your jobs, if you get all the costs and then you just put a 20 or a 30 or a 40% margin on the top of the cost and you think that's your profit margin, then this is costing you big time. That's the mistake of confusing a markup with a gross profit margin. So let's jump in and actually see how this all works. So when you do a project, you've got the cost. Now, the cost of actually doing the project is what we call the cost of sales. So that's your direct labor, the materials you buy, and any subcontractors you might use to finish that project or that job. So let's say you're a plumbing contractor and you're doing a small bathroom alteration. Now let's say the cost of that job is $10,000. And then you've got the quote or the price or the bid that you actually give to your client. Now we call that the sale price. So let's make that say $13,000. Now to calculate our gross profit, we take the sale or the revenue and then we take off the cost of sales. Now that gives us the gross profit. In this case, it'll be $13,000 less $10,000. Now giving us the gross profit of $3,000. Now how does this actually translate into a markup and a margin? Well, your markup, it's a formula. Your markup is your gross profit divided by your cost of sales. Now in this case, it's $3,000 divided by 10,000 times 100, get a percentage. Then that gives you a percentage of 30%. That's pretty simple. But is that our profit margin? Well, it's not. Our profit margin is actually figured out by understanding the gross margin. Now, the gross profit margin is the gross profit divided by the revenue or the sales. Now, in this case, it's $3,000 divided by $13,000 times 100. That actually gives us 23%. So 23% is what you get to keep. It's not the 30% we thought we were getting with our markup. And this explains why often when you do jobs, when you price them, and you think there's a lot of profit in them, but you actually do the job, you count the money is just not there in your bank account. Now the relationship between the markup and the margin, it is a mathematical relationship. The markup is always higher than your gross profit margin. So a 30% markup will give you a 23% gross margin. A 43% markup will give you a 30% gross margin. And a 100% markup will leave you with a 50% gross profit margin. Now the key is to use gross profit margin when you're pricing your work, because it can completely change the profitability of your business, and it will have a huge impact on the quality of your life as a result. So how can you implement gross margin versus markup? Well, the first thing is to actually set a target gross margin. Now, for instance, aim for 55% or higher for your maintenance and your servicing work. Make sure you've got a target, and that's what you aim for before you pull the trigger on any of your quotes, your bids, or your invoices. Now, the second thing is to actually back cost all the jobs you do and figure out what is the gross profit margin you're actually hitting when you've done that job or that project. Now, once you've done that, you can actually compare the jobs. You can go back to them and you can see why they've worked out and why potentially they haven't. And then you can make some decisions and some changes for the next time you do that type of project. Now, as I said, investigate the reasons for those variances and then you can just correct them next time. Now, if you want some extra help with your pricing, I've got a free calculator that will help massively. It's called the Pricing Calculator, and it's designed to make pricing easy for you. Just enter your costs, it'll spit out the price you need to charge to hit the margins that you want. It's also got some benchmarks in there for pricing, depending on the type of jobs, projects that you do. If you'd like a free copy, click on this post, enter your details, and I'll blast it straight out to you. Now, getting your pricing right is massive, so make sure you're pricing for the right margins. It will change your business and your life.